Alright, hello there, YouTube people. So, what we're going to do here is we are going to talk about the NWO Bait and Switch. Because that's what happened. They said, oh, look, guys, fascist world order's coming. And then everybody was like, oh, fight the fascist. And then, boom, socialist world order. The NWO Bait and Switch. And here we go. So, while the masses were given the stories of the Illuminati and the elite families and all that shit, the one world government that's fascist, the elites will have everything. The truth was the opposite of that. It helps if you think of it like this, right? This is how they got it. If you're pushed, right, somebody pushes you and you begin to fall backwards, right, and you start leaning forward and you try to get your balance, but the person that pushed you, they actually wanted you to fall forward to begin with. So when they push you and you start leaning forward, that's when they're really going to get you where they want you. That's what they did. They was like, look at this hand, and then smack the fuck out of you with the other hand. Seems to be a common pattern. So, people, right, fighting against what they thought was coming made it easier for them to actually do what they wanted. They said the NWO is government control and no one is equal and a few people have everything. And in combating that type of order, the actual order has come about where no one is equal, nobody, and everyone's the same. You think the same, you dress the same, you act the same. It's a socialist world order, bro. That's what they done. Doing. So, and the reason I bring this up, right, is because the Pope, he released his latest encyclical, funny word, called Fratelli Tutti. As usual, the one thing that's constant in this is the use of the common good, right? You got to help everybody to strip the individual of any uniqueness, right? You're not allowed to do that unless it is beneficial to the common good. This is just same old Roman law, Babylonian bullshit. Always has been. But this document, right, this encyclical, the Fratelli Tutti, it's really something. I'm going to put the link in here so that whoever wants to read it can read it, because it's a doozy. It covers everything from individual men to nations, cities, states, entire countries, and global affairs. This is the outline of the NWO. If you read it, right, and you see something happening in world affairs, you'll be like, shit, that's why they're doing that. It's that good. It's really an outline. So, even to the point, right, this document takes shots at Trump, his followers, his policies, even the wall. They say all kinds of shit about the wall. This is what they do, right? There's the churchy global, and then there's the Trumpy national, right? And what they do is the church says, oh, Trump's a monster, we're the good guys. Some people believe it. Trump says, oh no, we're the good guys, we're going to take down these monsters. And some people believe it. And the masses get caught in the center, right? Identifying themselves with this group or this group. And some people become so absorbed that their whole identity becomes these groups, right? And that's not good at all. Your identity should be individual. So, you yourself, if, you have to come out of that. The masses have to come out of that trap. There's no balance there. This same tactic is used on a smaller scale, right? The Trump and Biden division. Neither choice is right, period. Like, both of them, no matter who wins, right, they're going to operate based on the federal code. Not laws, not anything real, not real laws with real consequences, real laws that never change, but codes. Codes that can change as soon as somebody wants them to. And where do these codes come from? Where does the federal, state, tax, where do them codes come from? The Code of Hammurabi, one of the earliest and complete written legal codes, and it was proclaimed by the Babylonian king Hammurabi. Yeah. So what is a code, right? It's something that you got to break, like you got to figure it out. It's the mystery of iniquity. The code system, it isn't fair. Nobody understands it because it's a bunch of bullshit. Like in Kentucky, if you're a politician, you're not allowed to have a job or make money anywhere other than your political career, unless you teach golf lessons. What? It's codes, bro. It ain't supposed to be fair. It's a system of iniquity. The entire system of governance, right, all around the world, operates based on these codes. And again, it's the mystery of iniquity. They're not fair. Anyone who has been in the system knows that it isn't fair. Nothing about it is. Men who have no authority, judges, police, district attorneys, none of them have real authority unless you give it to them, unless you say, oh yeah, he's right. These people give sentences based on how they felt that day, right? You ever been to court and just got jail time because the guy before you pissed the judge off? That's not fair. That's iniquity. In fact, we're supposed to forgive, but nothing about it's fair. Men who have no authority giving sentences based on how they felt that day for so-called crimes that they knew nothing about. How many things are illegal by the state that aren't really illegal at all? There's nothing legal about it. You know what I mean? Like parking meters. I've never parked at a parking meter. It's just worked out that way. But who in the fuck? Why did you take all the tax money to build roads and then charge us to drive down the roads we built? We paid for. You know what I mean? This shit don't make sense. These codes are iniquity. They leave no room for compassion, right? Because you have to follow the codes, and allow men to be cruel and then say, oh, I'm just doing my job. That's selling out. We're supposed to have a relationship with our Creator who dwells within you, within the temple. You are the temple of the Spirit of God, and we are to be accountable to Him, not to men. This encyclical, though, it really touches on everything. It uses like the false pandemic to make statements like this. Okay, this starts at whatever 32. A worldwide tragedy like the COVID-19 pandemic momentarily revived the sense that we are a global community, all in the same boat, where one person's problems are the problems of all. No, it ain't. Mind your fucking business. Once more, we realized that no one is saved alone. I've never realized that. We can only be saved together. Can we be saved together? What the fuck is that? Have you ever in your life heard that you have to, like you have to get, everybody has to be saved together? Because I've never heard that. Show me that verse, please. Saved together is not how it works. Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling is how it works. Not universal fraternity, right? None of that. Not together, on your own, with fear and trembling. It's wrong. This whole thing is wrong. It's wrapped in Bible verses, right? There's a few in there, but they're used to push the socialist world order, while at the same time they paint the intended fascist world order as wrong. Right? That's what they do. It's what's it called? Thesis, antithesis, the Hegelian dialectic. They give you the problem and the solution, but both of them are just problems. Anyway, so here's the part, right, that they aimed at Trump. And again, I don't endorse Trump. I don't do politics anymore. Because once you break free of that shit, there's no reason to go back. And this starts at 44. Even as individuals maintain their comfortable consumerist isolation, they can choose a form of constant and febrile bonding that encourages remarkable hostility, insults, abuse, defamation, and verbal violence destructive of others, and this with a lack of restraint that could not exist in physical contact without tearing us all apart. Social aggression has found unparalleled room for expansion through computers and mobile devices. This has now given free rein to ideologies. Things that until a few years ago could not be said by anyone without risking the loss of universal respect can now be said with impunity and in the crudest of terms, even by some political figures. Nor should we forget that there are huge economic interests operating in the digital world, capable of exercising forms of control as subtle as they are invasive, creating mechanisms for the manipulation of consciences. Wow. Let's do this again. Capable of exercising forms of control as subtle as they are invasive, creating mechanisms for the manipulation of consciences in the democratic process. The way many platforms work often ends up favoring encounter between persons who think alike, shielding them from debate. These closed circuits facilitate the spread of fake news and false information, fomenting prejudice and hate. It's crazy. We should also recognize that destructive forms of fanaticism are at times found among religious believers, including Christians. Including Christians. They too can be caught up in networks of verbal violence through the internet and the various forums of digital communication. Even in Catholic media, limits can be overstepped. Defamation and slander can become commonplace, and all ethical standards and respect for the good name of others can be abandoned. How can this contribute to the fraternity that our common Father asks of us? I don't think that he asked for universal fraternity, because he said worship according to your culture, and he made separate cultures for a reason. It's flavor, bro. It's flavor. And honestly, like, while this is dressed nice, right? When you read it, it's dressed nice. It looks like, oh, that's true. But it's what they use it for, right? Now, the two parts that I hate the most, right? One says that you're only allowed to own property for the good of everyone, meaning that if you have something and someone needs it, you have to give it to them. Even if they don't give a shit to actually do any work for it, they just want it, you have to give it to them. And I mean, that's why you own stuff, right? For everybody else to give it away. It's socialism, socialist world order. Secondly, no one will have their own beliefs. If they do, they are not allowed to have the opportunity to share it. It says that. This is happening now, though, right? Any real man, right, who doesn't push the same message that's in this encyclical is censored, right? It happens to me already. My views go down every single day. I got less views. I have like 1,000 and something. But if you like on my YouTube studio, it's been stuck at 858. It's been there for like a month. I don't even care. I don't give a shit. Now, the goal, right? Oh, I wanted to add that. I believe it's paragraph 145 or 125 when they start talking about that. Like, if you have your own beliefs, you're not allowed to speak it. That's crazy. But in my opinion, right, here's the goal is this. They got the church and the state, right? They merge them into one entity, right? So it's still along the lines of the original New World Order. The Vatican will be at the top, right? And everybody else at the bottom, which is everybody, will be merchandise. I think the goal is to merge the church and the state, and then the AI. The AI will be their tool for complete control, right? It'll be like the Middle Ages, but way, way, way worse. The man-made church, right? The man-made church used to kill people for rumors of opposition. I'm sure you know stories of the Middle Ages, like why Leonardo da Vinci had to do studies at nighttime and shit, because they would kill him if he thought differently. That's crazy, especially when you consider that they made the claim that they own every conscious on the planet, and if you operate under their codes and shit, then they do. But I don't imagine that would change, right? They'd still, apparently they've been killing people for going against them forever. So, but now they would have AI doing the work, right? The NWO is coming, though. When you read this for Telly Tootie, with all its flowery words and it's dressed up real nice, right? The average dumbass person isn't going to look into it. They're going to be like, oh, that sounds good. Because all they got to do is get poor people to go along with it. If the poor people go along with it and consent to it, then that's it. They can do it. But all the kings of the earth will fall in with this agenda, right? And then once all the kings of the earth say, yeah, that's right, and all the power goes to the Vatican, that's one solid source of control. The Vatican and the governments, the state governments of the world will all be together as one entity. And then they would have the AI to keep track of everything and surveillance, all that shit. Could you imagine that? That would be terrible. What would the average person do against that, right? The local governments, right? The police and all that shit. They work for the church, right? The church will just fucking kill you. And that you're not entitled to a trial. None of that shit. Right there, right? And they have AI surveillance everywhere. Like, it sounds like a fucking nightmare. But it's coming. Unless we really start, getting shit together. That's it, though. I'll add in this full document. It's kind of long, but it's really worth reading, because it's always good to study the enemy's playbook. You'll be able to see the reason why things are happening. But like I said, they had everyone fighting against a fascist New World Order and saying, oh no, we need a socialist movement thing, and then bang, socialist world order. Like that. That was the whole point all along. The bait and switch. But remember, always hold on to your individuality. It's what makes you you. And never give that up, because there's no one else like you. And we need you, Everybody's made for a reason, unique. Don't fall in line with these fucking robots. But, peace out, guys. I love you. I'll put that in there for you.